Okay, I am back after a long hiatus. Too long actually. I've had a lot of because I'm a musician as well as I have a regular job, and so it's been really busy. This is the first weekend I've had off in a while. But anyway, I wanted to get back to this and show what I'm gonna do here, finishing up these empennage parts. So this is a piece of looks like bass or spruce, and it's 3/16 by quarter. And all I want to do, and then when I make these kits, I'll make this notch and then have these pieces in there already cut. But for those that are scratch building, this might come in handy. Um, what I need a ruler. I've got magnets everywhere. Okay. So I just kind of want to make this even. Let's see, if I go 45 into it, I'm going to line up these elevators, line up the elevators with the edge there so I can get exactly where I need this. And I want it to be about, let me get my pencil, there we go. My bench got even more cluttered after not being at it for a little while. It happens. There we go. So I measured 45 millimeters, or you can convert that to inches if you want to. Make it 1.5 inches, and you should be pretty close. I'll do the same thing over here. Just make a little mark at 45 millimeters. All right, there's good. There we go. Now, this thing is going to be cut to 111 millimeters. Let me go ahead and cut this. When it comes to cutting this heavier material, I use a little razor saw, and you can use the red-handled X-Acto blades, or some of the other ones fit it. I get tired of changing the switching it out, and I just end up just using it that way. So let's cut this about right in here. But yeah, you want to use a saw for this. These razor saws are fantastic. You could try and cut this with the X-Acto knife or some other blade, but you're going to have a hard time. I think this is the way to do it. Alright, where's here we go. This side here. And this side here. So I think I'm going to start cutting these kits out pretty soon. And I'm going to try to include a lot of hardware with the kits. So it'll have wheels and everything. I know there's a lot of short kits out there, but I kind of want to do something a little more complete than that. Let's see where that is. Okay. Now, so one thing you can use is, I don't know where my small compass is, but the small compass is fantastic for measuring this sort of thing, but this will work. Like I said, in the kit, I would have all these little notches cut out. Although a lot of the earlier kits that I built back in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s, you had to do a lot of this stuff. They were not nearly as fabricated as kits are today. So right here, when I'm cutting across the grain, I'm going to use my saw and just come down to my line right there. Do the same thing here. These little razor saws are extremely handy. There we go. Now I'm going to come in here and cut this. You want to have You want to have a straight edge on there when you're doing a cut like this so your blade doesn't wander. And it looks like I need to change this blade. There we go. Just like that. It fits in there pretty nice. Alright, let's cut this side. Well, my flying club is having a barbecue tomorrow, so I got a whole bunch of planes I got ready to fly. Some I haven't flown in a very long time to fly at this barbecue, so hopefully they all come home in one piece. Alright, so that works pretty good there. Yeah, that's really close. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is get my glue. And get a little glue on there. Okay. I'm going to set this up against the trailing edge of the stabilizer. That'll give me something solid to pin it up against. There we go. And that should hold that. Now, we'll go ahead and pull this rudder off here. Sand this side here. Get rid of any glue blobs or what have you. And there again, that's why I use wood glue, because look at that, it comes off so nice and easy. You don't quite get that nice of a job with CA, but some people use it, and I used to use it a lot. And there we go. Okay, let's do the same thing here. Oh, and these sanders, it looks like Dubro is now selling these things. And if you're planning on building any models, any number of models, they're worth the investment. You know, you can make them out of wood blocks or whatnot, but this aluminum is rigid enough that I've got a little more control than I would with the wood block. Okay. Alright, so that'll take care of the edge. Now we have to, you can see that all lines up really nice. We have to put a bevel on the front of the rudder, and you want roughly a 30-degree bevel. When you're looking at the top, you want this to have a 30-degree angle, and then it to be centered. So you want the bevel to be centered on here, and then that way your hinges are going to go in the center right there. And there's a couple of ways you can do find the center of things and mark it. And I just eyeball the angle. I don't measure it or anything. But This is if you can find one of these, they're fantastic little tools for finding the center of any kind of material that will fit in between that gap. And it has a little tiny point. I don't know if you can see it in there, and it'll make a mark on your material. This was made by Carl Goldberg way back in the day, and if you can find one, snatch it up. They had these by themselves, and then they had these in a hinge kit, which came with some other tools for help making hinges. And I found one happen on eBay. I had one for years. I lost it, and then I saw one on eBay a while back, and so I had to buy it. So, or you can use a set of dividers, or even a compass, and kind of make your mark that way, and you'll find the center that way. You could measure and then draw a line, but that's kind of a pain. So, but this, you just push it till it's in the middle, and then you just run it down like so, and if you look, you can see there's a little line right there. So that's dead center of this this material here. You could probably 3D print something very similar to this. That might be worth drawing up. Maybe I'll do that at some point. And if you notice, it has a little radius on these little arms that come down, and that's so it can go on any thickness of material, and find the center. But anyway, that's the tool that I use. You can use a compass. If you draw a couple of lines with the compass, you'll find the center right away. But this works great. So now, all I do is I put this on the edge of my bench. And like I said, I don't measure any of this. And I just eyeball it. And I get close. You can, if you want to get fancy and measure it, you're welcome to. But I'm just going to take it and then take my sanding paper and kind of hold it at about a 30-degree angle. Just go back and forth lightly. Don't get too excited. Just take your time. And then you'll see you start to approach that center mark. Right there, I just have a little bit of brown edge left, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over and do the other side. Again, I'm just guessing here. You could make a tool, and maybe I'll make one and throw in my kits, just so there's a little sanding tool in there for people there's some people very particular, but I'm pretty sure no one's gonna know. And if you look on the end, you can see I'm pretty dang close just by eyeballing it. I don't know if you can see that or not. But there you go. So now I've got a nice bevel. See, I've got just a little bit of the brown marks from the laser, but that's my center groove right there, and I'm kind of dead and center on that. And then what that does, that removes enough material to allow you for your hinge to move. So now that I have that done, I'm going to use my same little tool here and mark my rudder, my vertical fin, vertical stabilizer, fin, whatever you want to call it, the same way. And then, I've got a mark here now. So now, that last mark got a little wonky. There we go. So now I have marks, and so when I make my cuts for my hinges, that should all line up. Now in this, I'm not going to have, if you hook up the rudder to this, you might want to put another hinge down here, or not the rudder, but a tail wheel to this, just to give it some strength. But for sure you want 3 hinges in here. Just to be safe, you don't want anything coming out. And I'm going to use these hinges right here. These little cloth hinges. There's a cloth on the outside and a mylar in the middle, and there's a bunch of different brands that make these. I ordered a bunch of these in bulk, and they're easy to install. They're thin, and basically you just want to cut a slot. What I'm going to do, I kind of should have moved my elevator here in my way. I'm going to make a mark. Let me pull one of these out. These are laser cut, which, whew, I don't know what that plastic is in the middle, but I would not want to be in the room when they were laser cutting this. Alright. So just kind of give me an idea where I want these to go. I'll make some light marks right there. And like I said, I'm going to put 3 in there, so I'm going to put another one over here. And let's put a middle one right in between all that. I know that's probably not the best angle on the camera to see my hands, but you can see I've got some marks on there where my hinges are going to go. So I'm going to get my little knife out and cut these out very carefully. Now the thing you have to worry about more than anything is splitting the material by not going straight in. So you want to make sure you're going straight in as possible. I'm a little off. I will say this much. These hinges are so much easier than the pin hinges. I mean, the pin hinges have their place. At one time that was all we had, and thankfully we have these hinges, and I've never had them fail. And if they're a little crooked, it's going to be okay. So that's really all the slot you need, and there you go. So let's come down here and cut this other one. Now I'm not going to glue these hinges in now. I like to cover first before I glue the hinges in. But it's nice to have the notches cut while you still have access to the hair. And I'll tell you one thing, if you cover anything with transparent film, you definitely want to cut these before you glue your hinges in or install your covering. Because what happens is you'll see all the debris coming from the hinges, and it doesn't look all that great in your beautiful transparent covering job. So that's my recommendation there. Alright, this hinge might be a little tricky just because, well, I'm not even going in there straight. I'm so crooked. There we go. That's better. Let's see what we have here. Alright, so there we have it in the vertical stabilizer. Now let's put our notches here. I got my marks that are very light, but that's alright. Just go ahead and make start the next slice. I think I need to put a new blade on here. Alright, brand new fresh blade. Let's see, where was I? Right here. Yeah, like I said, if you're going to use a steerable tail wheel and it's going to catch into the well, I need to go straight. Catch into the bottom of this rudder, you definitely want to put a hinge into the fuselage just to give it a little more strength there. So one thing on elevator joiners for this piece right here, you can use a piece of wood dowel, or you can use a wire. Back in the day, and you'll still see some airplanes with a wire that goes across. Boy, I'm not making this straight at all. So you'll make a little U-shaped wire that'll cut into there. A couple of different ways. I found this method to be pretty strong and easy to do, and this piece of wood will bevel to whatever shape you make the leading edge. So I find that to be handy. Okay, yeah, maybe this one will be a little straighter. That's the one thing too about these they call them CA hinges. It's not as critical how straight you get everything, and they have to be lined up, because it's going to flex wherever it is, wherever your hinge line is. Whereas like with the pin hinge, you have to have those all lined up perfectly, otherwise your control surfaces are going to bind. So for most stuff, I find these things to be pretty easy. Now let's see if I got lucky and lined all these up right. Yeah, so there you have it. This one needs to be adjusted here. Let me fix this one. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to trim this a little bit. And I bet you that works. So there we go. If you can look and see, I don't know if you can see it, but the little bevel there on the rudder, and then there you have it. That's how it hinges, and you're gonna get a really nice. You want this gap here as small as possible, and there's some hinging methods where you can actually cover it up and have seal the gaps completely. But if you don't have much of a gap there and you can't see a lot of light through it, you're doing great. That's what you want. So now with this, and I'm not going to show me putting hinges on here, but I'm going to bevel this elevator basically the same way. I might bevel it a little different where it hinges on the top, so the angle is more on the bottom, and I'll show that versus the center, or I don't know, I'll check and see. So now what you want to do is you want to come in here and then you want to sand. I think I can move this now. Yeah, still setting up, but it's not bad. So now let's get this off of here. Okay. So now you're going to come in here and you're going to put a radius on all these edges. You could taper sand the rudder, or you're even like on the elevator where you put a slight angle from the back all the way to the forward edge of it, and that'll make it a little more efficient. It's up to you, but you definitely want to round all these edges off, and especially the leading edge. Any of that's going to help create some laminar flow. You don't really want to hit this square edge. It's going to create it's going to create a lot of buffeting, and it's going to make your control surfaces not nearly as efficient. So to do that, I eyeball it, and then I just kind of start putting a little bit of an angle on there, and then I'll start kind of rolling it to create that radius. So you can see now I've started to put that little radius on there, and then I'll do the other side same way so that it meets in the middle. And make sure you have permission from your spouse or significant other or special person in your life before you do this in their kitchen. Yeah, you don't want to lose a relationship over this. I mean, model airplanes are a hell of a lot of fun, but yeah, you don't want to cause problems. If you have a shop or a garage, that's even better. That's where you want to do this. I'm fortunate that I'm kind of single at the moment, so my kitchen, or my dining room, I've got workbenches in it, and that's my life. Alright, so let's get this all sanded down and a radius. Alright, so now if you look at the bottom, you can see the radius that I have on there. So now when the wind hits that, it's just going to it'll break it up a little bit and reduce a lot of drag. And then you're going to do the same shape here. You don't want to do the bottom edges because that's going to sit on top of the fuselage like this. So that's got to be square, and so you don't want to do that. You just want to radius this edge here and then the trailing edge in the bottom here. We don't worry about this. We've already beveled the rudder, and we're going to leave the back side of the vertical fin flat, so we don't have to worry about that. So I need to clean off my benches. I got so much stuff. Actually, I'm looking at a shop, so I can start cutting a lot more kits. I had a customer of mine that is building a Culver Dart. Maybe I'll put a couple of pictures of what he's doing at the end of this video. It's a beautiful, beautiful airplane, and I'm proud of the way that it's turned out, as I'm sure he is too. That one took a lot of work with Fusion to get all those stringers. And I kind of want to just put a little bit of a roundness on there. So there we have it. We've got a radius on top now. And again, like I said, you could taper sand this. And maybe I'll do a little bit of it, but probably not. You could taper, I may do it on the elevators. And then just to make it more effective, but I'm just going to go ahead and round this off. Let me put this edge just a little bit of a radius on that corner up there. There we go. We're going to do the same thing here. Turn it over, come back like this. Now we've got our radius there. Oh, that's looking good. And then let's just do the bottom here. Yeah, you don't want any blunt, as few or as little as possible in the way of blunt areas running into the wing, creating an air dam. That just creates lots of drag and Drag is not really our best friend. Alright. So, yeah, let me change this angle just a little bit. There we go. So there you have it. That's how we put together our empennage, and then I'll do the sanding the same way I did on here on my horizontal stabilizer and elevator, and then maybe we'll move on to the wing, or I'll start doing some more sub-assemblies on the fuselage. But hopefully it's not as long between this video and the next one, and I apologize everybody for that, but whew, I've been busy. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a great time building and using Fusion for your models. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask me or shoot me a message. Also, please like and subscribe. I appreciate all the subscribers that I have now and the likes that I get. I'm not doing this for money. I'm just doing this to share my knowledge of what I know about model airplanes. It's been a great hobby for me. Anyway, I hope y'all have a great time and happy landings.